Hey guys, my name is Shelby, and I am going to be kind of going over a training session that I had with my project horse Lily. So this is one of the first times that she's been saddled up in this video. So I've got my trainer there just holding her, just to keep her kind of chill and pet her and whatever while I do this. But basically I just let her sniff out the saddle pad and kind of see what was going on, and then I just stuck it on and I just worked with her with it, worked on a little bit of desensitizing with it to make sure that she's used to it and the feeling of something on her back. So as you can see, I'm not being too horribly gentle or tiptoeing around it with her. If she was a little bit spookier, then I probably would have, but she's a really confident, really brave horse, so I didn't have to do that, and I just kind of made it as unceremonious as possible, just so that she would kind of be like, okay, this is normal. You don't want to make a huge deal out of everything. I am a firm believer in horses can sense your emotions, and they can tell when something is up. So there was actually a Dr. Keeling who did a study on this exact subject, monitoring the kind of correlation between human heart rates and horse heart rates. And they found that whenever a human's heart rate does come up, the horse's does as well, and it senses that. So in this study, they had people, and they were just riding around in an arena on a horse, and they were all kind of varying levels of experience. There were some really experienced riders and some really beginner riders. And they told them that after they passed a certain point, they would open up an umbrella and close it. So in the study, they never actually opened up the umbrella, but the participants, the human participants, did anticipate that, and so as they anticipated that, their heart rate rose up, and as soon as theirs rose up, the horses did as well, and they became more stressed than they were prior to that. So anyways, after I got her all tacked up, I just cinched her up. She's just got a cinch on, and I didn't do it very tight. I just did it tight enough to where it would stay on and it wouldn't move around or roll very much. And I'm just leading her around. You can also send them off by themselves to do this, or free lunge them or lunge them still on the line. I was just leading her because she is she's pretty people oriented, and I just felt like this would be the best way to go about it. And what I'm doing with the walking is I'm just trying to get her used to the feeling of the saddle and the sensation of it, because she's never really had anything strapped to her back. So if she were to offer to buck right now, I would have sent her out by herself, but I would have let her buck. Because especially in those first couple times, I'm fine with just letting them get used to it and understand the saddle. But if that behavior does continue past the first couple of times, then I would start to correct that. But just because it's, one of the first times she's ever had a saddle on, and it's kind of weird and it's kind of heavy, I don't mind for her to have a little bit of a cold back, which she does at a couple points in this video, but not much at all. She's actually really chill with it, and she really takes it like a champ. So after walking her for, 2 laps, I took her halter off and kind of let her out and let her kind of free lunge, and she kind of offered to trot on her own. I didn't really ask her to, but once she did, I was like, okay, I'll take that, and I kept her trotting. So what, she's doing right here, she's kind of just trying to figure out the saddle and why it's on her, and if she can get it off by going faster. So you can see she's a little bit distracted. The saddle is kind of bouncing up and down. There's kind of a lot going on. So I was just kind of sitting and making sure that at least that she kept her pace, but other than that, just kind of letting her lead it herself and do whatever, she pleases, so that she can kind of get used to that sensation of the saddle as it bounces around on her back and it's stuck on her back. So right here I ask her to stop, and she stops and faces me really well, and she kind of comes in. I didn't really ask her to come in. As you can see, I kind of just sat there. She offered that, but I accepted it, and I said, okay, and I pet her, because I really like the fact that she is very friendly, and it's a really good positive reinforcement thing for her. So I reinforce that behavior because I like that it's a reward for her. so I don't mind it, and it's not a big deal for me. So she came in and I gave her a little bit of scratches and a little bit of attention. Okay, so then after a couple seconds of that, I send her back out, and as you can see, she's kind of humping up a little bit and a little bit cold-backed. That's no big deal. I'm just kind of letting her do that. But she wants to stay in a lope, so I kind of keep her in a lope. She went back down to a trot there, but I think I get her back into a lope. Yep, right there. And so she takes the wrong lead, and I do have her change that somewhere. Yes, right there. So I break her back down and get her, and she takes the correct lead. And so then I just kind of let her go, and she kind of does her own thing. I'm kind of just letting her lead this and do whatever. By this time, she's a little bit more engaged to me, but not quite. She's still trying to understand it, so I'm just kind of sitting back and letting her understand it and figure it out. Okay, so this change of direction right here is pretty weak. You can see that she kind of cuts through the middle. I just reacted a little bit too fast. I didn't quite have her eye yet to make it a little bit smoother of a thing. You can see right here she's kind of humping up as she lopes, but it's no big deal. She's also, it looks like she's crossfiring. Yeah, she's crossfiring. Okay, so I corrected her crossfiring right here. Pretty much what I did was I just added a little bit more pressure to get her to, at her butt, just to get her to run a little bit faster, and she kind of corrected it herself. So you can see that she's not crossfiring anymore. She's loping correctly. It's nice and good, and she's just kind of doing her own thing a little bit. I'm just kind of keeping her loping. She starts kind of breaking down here. I tell her to go back. She goes back just fine. So something that I really like about Lily is that she's very interactive whenever you're working with her. So you can see right then she kind of turned her head in, and she's turning her head in more. And that has become her way of asking if it is okay for her to stop and come in and stop trotting. And so if I will step back or if I will keep standing there, then she will turn in and she'll take that as a yes. And if I raise my hand up, apply a little bit more pressure, then she'll say okay, and then she'll keep going. I really like this. This has been super useful, and it's super, super cool, and I really like that she does this. And so because I like this behavior and I think it's really cool and really useful, generally I'll say yes. She doesn't ask a whole lot. She doesn't do it all the time. I will say no sometimes if we're working on something or whatever. Also, just sometimes randomly I will say no because I don't want her to always expect that. But it is really cool behavior, so I do try to encourage that. Yeah. So after this, I just kind of pushed her back out and kept on working with her for a little bit and had her kind of listen to me. As time went on, she became more responsive. She kind of forgot about the saddle. She started working a little bit better. She started taking her leads a little bit better, but all that footage kind of looks the same. So I think that's all that I have for you guys. Lily did awesome in this session, and I'm really, really proud of her. Thank you for watching. Bye.